Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the 2023 the Memorial Tournament. This is my DFS pick show with a focus on the GPP side, which is the very large tournaments. And also, I'm going to give you everything you need to know to lock in those final lineups with the Before the Lock show. That means ownership projections, weather, everything that I'm thinking I'm going to give you. So with that said, first and foremost, thanks for stopping by, and let's go talk a little golf. All right, but first, of course, I do have the giveaway going for the U.S. Open. And if you're asking me, hey, what's that? I am giving away 5 lucky winners, my cold hard cash, $100 each. And to get into this giveaway is pretty simple. All you need to do is be a subscriber. So if you're not, click that subscribe button because I need you to tell me who do you like to win the U.S. Open in the YouTube comments below. And also click that like button and share it with anybody if you think they might be interested to get in this giveaway. Again, 5 lucky winners, each will receive $100. And all you need to do is be a subscriber and tell me who's going to win the U.S. Open. Real quick, let's talk weather. Really nothing to talk about except it's going to be super hot, super dry, and in this course is going to get baked out and be firm. I got to listen to Jack's presser, and yeah, they haven't had rain there. I think he said 10, 11 days, even prior to the tournament. It's very rare for this time. As I mentioned, I live in Michigan, right above Dublin, Ohio, and we've not had rain here, and it is unseasonably warm. So that is really all you need to know. I'll jump over to Wind Finder towards the end just to show you where I'm pulling the data to keep an eye on it for the showdown perspective. But that is it. I mean, you can see the winds going to be, pretty dead calm on Thursday, 6 to 12 on Friday, 10 to 20 on Saturday. I guess there's a cold front, I think it said, coming in Saturday night to chill off a little bit. So as you can see, still a high of 85 on Sunday, but again, winds 10 to 20 out of the Northeast. So from a weather side, all this is telling me is we're going to have a very tough track, and that's why I ran this model we're going to talk about next. Okay, so as I kept hearing all this information, I started to think, which courses do these guys play that would be very similar from a field and very firm and fast and thick rough. And what came screaming out to me, of course, is where they play the Arnold Palmer at Bay Hill, Arnold's place, which is kind of interesting, right? They're playing Jack's place. So I'm going to warn you right now, a lot of my picks, not only going to be skewed toward this, but I am putting a pretty heavy emphasis on the guys who have handled those kind of conditions is going to influence my pick. So that's all I want to say. So with that said, I took my model, as you see up here. You can see the weightings below each of these stroke gain categories. And what am I looking at? I'm looking at the last 8 rounds. So that would have been this year's tournament at the Arnold Palmer and the previous total of 8 rounds of golf, which if you remember, both of those events, pretty dry, pretty crazy, pretty firm, pretty fast, all that. And again, 3.5 to 4 inch rough. It's a par 72. It's got 4 par 5s. It's over 7,400 yards. The reason why I really didn't think about it previously, because it's Bermuda, it's Florida, but man, the way that this course is going to play, I think is going to resemble what we saw at Arnie's place not too long ago. Okay, so with that said, you've got Scotty Scheffler, got an early tee time. Also, you get to see a tee times here, which I think I didn't even notice that was in there. You got Corey Connors, Terrell Hatton, JT, Jordan Spieth, Benoit and John Rahm, Kurt Kitayama, of course, who won it last year, Scheffler the previous, Colin Morikawa, Cantlay, Harris English, Hideki, Rory McIlroy, Victor Hovland, Ryan Fox, who's only got 4 rounds at API, and also this is only pulling up the 4 that Patrick Cantlay and Kitayama has. So just side note that. Fitzpatrick and Emiliano Grillo, our buddy who just won the Charles Schwab. So again, what is this looking at? This is taking my model that I shared in the preview show, but you can see everything that I'm focused on up here. The weight of each of those stroke gain categories is below, and I'm only looking at Bay Hill, the last 2 tournaments these guys played. Then what I wanted to do is also bring in the Memorial Tournament, just again to kind of combine the two. And so now I'm looking at pretty much the past, 4 tournaments, 2 at Bay Hill, 2 at Jack's place at the Memorial. And you're going to notice it's going to say 24 rounds, but all of them are going to differ. But that was the only way I could really get it, exactly. And also you got to remember the renovation, which I don't think really changed the course enough for guys. Like it was a total different on who was showing up at the leaderboard. But it is pulling in the most recent Memorial data. With that said, at the top comes in Patrick Cantlay, Terrell Hatton, John Rahm, Scheffler, Schauffele, Morikawa, Connors, Benoit and Rory McIlroy, Spieth, Billy Ho, of course, who won the Memorial last year, Fitzy, Francesco Molinari, funny, it keeps showing up, which I guess makes a little sense because what he typically does is hit a ton of fairways and it's pretty good with the irons, an okay short game. You got Adam Schenk, of course, who had a good chance to win the Charles Schwab with Emiliano Grino last week going into the playoff. And then Seabez, who I told you guys I was all over last week, and I bet him again. And hopefully, at worst case from a DFS, it gets us the top 10. Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you because, the more and more I kind of thought about it, that, you know what, I'm going to kind of leverage that for doing my DFS picks. All right, let's go jump over to Fantasy National. Let's go do some analysis. I'm going to give you my top 25 picks, and then we'll look at ownership projections real quick on weather and then get you guys out of here. Okay, I've hopped over to Fantasy National, and as always, if you are putting any kind of dollars on the DFS side for golf or the betting side, I highly recommend this tool. It is totally built just for golf. Like I said, I've been using it forever. All right, there's my plug for them. And as always, I'm using Draftkings pricing that you're going to notice here. I'm looking at the past 24 rounds. And whenever I do this, I always kind of keep more of a recent form within my models. While we're at that, for my mini model that I'm running, which has got 5 stroke gain categories, good drives. If you don't know what that is, that means you've hit the fairway or the first immediate cut. And then you hit actually on your approach, you hit the green. So that's good drives. I got that at 30%. I got approach at almost 40. I got around the green at 12, putting at 10, and that stroke gain that comes up a little more like by 0.5% or something like that. So you could also pull in 175, 200, but I decided to go with a 150 to 175. I think we're going to get a lot of run out, and there's probably going to be, if you're hitting a fairway, right, and it can keep it in the fairway, that's going to be the next trick. With how firm these fairways will probably run, I think you're going to have a little less distance. So that's why we're going with that one. But as I mentioned, the two key procs to the pins was 150 to 175 and then 175 to 200. And I've got no filters turned on. As always, I've done a little pre-work up front. And if you're new to this, again, you get to get a lot of information in one view. You're seeing, of course, salary, projected ownership, cuts made, this stroke model that I just talked about, pulling out 5 key areas. Green is what we want. Of course, red is not so good. Remembering that these numbers are against 120 in the field. And then usually I do birdies over here gained, but I'm actually going to do fairways gained over the last 24 rounds because I think that is going to be such a key facet to guys have success here. And why I say that also is trying to stop these balls, the golf ball on the green when it's going to be super firm out of the rough is going to be completely impossible. So again, taking some assumptions on how this is all going to play, I really want to get guys that are hitting fairways. And then, of course, you got recent results. What have they done over the last 5 tournaments they played? And then, of course, tournament history. If I have them highlighted in green, which you see Scheffler, that is going to be one of the guys that I'm using in my player pool and also, recommending. But, of course, I'm going to kind of talk about a lot of these guys. All right, so Scotty Scheffler, of course, we're going to take a quick look at all these guys that are at the top just so you can see if you're a little new to someone. But as I mentioned in my preview show, the guy has not had a worse than a top 12 finish since last October at the CJ Cup. He gains quite a bit of distance, but he's also very accurate. The putter is what's been hurting him, but you can see difficult courses. He plays very well and also can handle the wind, one of the better wind players we have. And you can see this again, the Genesis, he had a 12th. And like I said, it had to go all the way back to the CJ Cup. But other than that, the guy's been pretty much a top 10 machine. Of course, he's got already a couple wins this year. Also, the waste management was playing very firm. So again, he can handle these fast, firm greens. We go back to the Arnold Palmer that he won in the past year in March timeframe. Did everything well. Of course, the irons were firing and the putter. But like I said, if I start to look at some of these waste management, crazy firm fast greens, Augusta with the bent greens, the Phoenix Arnold. So not that, he's already the betting favorite and somebody, but if you're trying to make a decipher between Rahm and Rory, the guy that I'm going to go with is Scheffler. I'm going to pay up for him if I'm going to be plugging in one of those guys in the 11, 10,000 range. The only reason why, Rahm has just got amazing history here. If you're also, again, a little newer, 2021, he was winning that tournament by 6 strokes after Saturday. Of course, got pulled out because of COVID. And then, Patrick Cantlay and Morikawa went to play the playoff. And we all know that Cantlay won that. Then, of course, Rahm won it in the crazy year in 2020 with the weather got nuts. I think they ended up shooting 9 under. And Fitzy was the only one that actually shot under par that day. I think he had like a 69 on that because it was just crazy wind. The course was fast. But his first time he ever played this, in his presser, he talked about this, that he literally missed the cut and stated he was never going to come back to this tournament. his caddy said, "Hey, I think you're nuts. This course sets up perfect for you." And as you see, he should have won back to back and then a T10 last year. So the only reason why I'm, going over Shuffler Rahm's a little bit, he's been a little bit wayward off the tee. To manage what I want to see for $300 more, I'm going to Shuffler. But you can really toss a coin. I mean, it's just the way that I'm going to lean. Rory's just been in a bit of form, right, since miscut at the Masters, right? So he miscut the Players. Let's go take a look at it so you can just see what's been going on with Rory. Bent greens are his favorite putting capability, but right, the Wells Fargo, we all know is, where he's, won a bunch. Typically, it's kind of like his playground. Did not show up for there. The Masters, the Players, pulled out of the RBC. I feel like he's from his pressers, bit of a funk. And of course, he had a pretty good PGA. That's the last event we saw him, and everything was good. So maybe things are trending up, right? He had just this little down spell. I mean, Rory at any time can win. Huge fan, but like I said, if you're going by the stroke gain data and what we've been seeing with the eyeball test, to pay 10-6 when you are going to, want to, I think I'm going to have to pay for Scheffler. Or Cantlay is the guy that I'm going to go to be honest, at the 10-5. But, Cantlay, of course, has got 2 wins here. I mentioned, 2021's got kind of an asterisk against it because that should have been Rahm's. But the guy played here, I believe he is as an amateur. Let's go see this if it shows up. Well, that would have been 2017. But, you can just see his career at the Memorial. 1, 2, 3, 4, top 5 or better with 2 wins. Another one that's got, as I mentioned, Rahm and him have like the best, course history here. He's been hitting a ton of fairways. There was a little bit of hiccup in the beginning of the season. I mentioned this multiple times. He was testing out new equipment, finally has found everything that he likes and is good to go. So with that said, also bent greens, which I don't know if I showed that, is his putting surface of choice, and gains, 3/4 of a stroke against the field when on him. Plays difficult courses pretty well, but also can score on easy and also can handle the windy condition, which I'm not stating there's going to be wind, but just if it gets tough, right, he just hits a ton of fairways. Kind of not the favorite guy to root for. It's kind of a bit robot out there, doesn't have a lot of personality, as we all know. And long story short, you got to go with the guys that you think are going to get you a chance to win this thing. The next guy is Xander, and you're going to be like, well, wait a minute, here you got an 11,000, a 10, and a 10. But again, I'm giving you kind of combinations where you could start lineups with Xander, Patrick Cantlay, Scotty, or maybe a Cantlay Schauffele start, which is probably going to be a bit chalky. But I'm just picking the top guys for you out of the 10,000 and up, and then I don't have a lot of guys in the 9s. I got a lot of guys in the 7s, to be honest. Don't get worried. I can use these picks to, of course, build that 6-man lineup, I promise. All right, so Xander, same thing. Funny enough, let's go take a look at him because he was struggling with the driver earlier in the season, but it seems like he's really got that figured out. He mentioned, funny enough, POA, of course, California. So is Patrick Cantlay from UCLA, someone that we're interested for the U.S. Open. Also Xander, California kid. Let's go look at this. So you can see right here and I'm guessing at the Masters, he also gained, I'm pretty sure. So the last 4 events, he's been really hitting the driver much better. As you can see, he kind of had a little, spell where it wasn't as good early in the beginning of the year. Iron's been well, and he's been putting, gaining almost 4 to 5 strokes with the putter last couple of events. And that was actually on bent at the PGA Championship at Oak Hill. Yep, I just want to confirm that. Whenever I state something, I just want to double check myself. I am all over. I think Xander, we can pull up his Memorial background. It's, maybe 3rd comparison to Rahm and Cantlay. Of course, an 18th and 11th, a 13th, a 14th. He did miss the cut his first time playing it. And then, of course, this renovations, you can see an 11th and an 18th. Xander hasn't actually, it feels like to me, contended to win. The Wells Fargo, he had a second, but I feel like he kind of came from behind to do that. So it would be pretty interesting if he goes into a Sunday in contention, because it's been a while since I remember that. Colin Morikawa, pretty simply put, people are going to state, oh, well, he won the workday, which, was 2 years ago now? Was that 3 years ago? That was 2020, during the COVID. But, that course was wet. It was playing like 7,300 yards. They moved the tees up. They had easy pins. The course played totally different 6-7 days later, as I talked about in the preview show. So you can't really hold that. And then also, Morikawa, it's been a while since we also seen him really in contention. I guess would be, the Tournament of Champions, when he kind of fell apart on Sunday. I think that was the last time he really had a chance, and had a good chance. He was winning by like 7-8 strokes, and then just kind of fell apart that Sunday. But the putter is what's been just crazy now. Everything else And you could go with the theory, if the putter flips, Morikawa could have a really good tournament. He had a second here in 2021. So, but with that said, for that price tag, I'm actually going to fall to Victor. The around the green game, I do feel like has improved, and the ball striking has been really good. You can see everything is clicking. He's still getting dinged for around the green. That's really it. I also trust his putter better. You see bent is his second best surface to POA. Here, the irons, funny enough, I was kind of curious about this. I noticed this at the Charles Schwab. Had fallen off a little bit, but of course he gained almost 10.5 at the PGA. Also gained on those bent greens. Lost a ton on Bermuda here. So you can see his putter's been a little Jekyll and Hyde. Let's go take real quick also. He's only played here 3 times. So really, if you go by course history, you could make an argument not to play Hovland at 9,700. Like I said, I really didn't even look at what he's done here in the past. But I still like just everything he has should fit for this course. I'm going to skip on Day, even though, of course, right, he's like the only local that I can think of in Dublin, Ohio. He's not too far down. So it's a home game for Mr. Jason Day. Right, he got the win just here recently at the Byron Nelson. You could give him a pass because, I did state this. For the PGA Championship, he literally didn't play one practice. I think his body was feeling it. Now, I don't know, it could have been mental, it could have been physical, but he didn't play one practice tournament at, practice round at Oak Hill. He tried to save everything. So what that tells me is something was not feeling so well. He did not come out and say that, but something must have not, because to not even go out and try to play 9 holes when you've not seen that course probably for, I couldn't even tell you, I guess he played, I think, in the 2013 PGA at Oak Hill. So anyways, that's a little bit also the reasoning. He's also not had the greatest track record here, as you see at 31st. Did have a T4, but let's go take a look. Let's go look a little deeper into this. All right, let me pull up the Memorial. Played it a lot. 2008. Yeah, I guess his best finish would have been 2020. Not the greatest track record here, but I mean, actually better than Victor, so you kind of make with that. But I'm a little worried about Mr. Day and where he's at. Right, he did start to talk about that the vertigo actually did come back. You got the back, that I still don't trust. I know he's changed his swing to try to correct that. So I don't know. With all that said, I'm going to go lean on Terrell Hatton at 9,300. You can see, of course, also has won at the API. I think that's his only win, if I remember correctly, on U.S. soil here on the PGA. Let's go take a look at that. I'm pretty sure I'm correct. But again, whenever I state something, I like to make sure I'm right. Yep. His only win on the PGA Tour on the lower 48 would be the API. Of course, the players he's done well. Again, the Arnold Palmer. The Palmetto, it's funny. That was such a weak field, but also played pretty firm and fast. All right, I was just kind of curious. But we also want to look at what he's been, except for the RBC where he lost strokes, he's been really strong off the tee approach, the putter, we know. Also for the price tag, I kind of like plugging in Terrell Hatton. I think he's going to be a little chalky. This is the ownership right now, but we'll go verify that after. A little bit being, from the Arnold Palmer API side influence, of course, from a stroke game perspective influence. You could say, well, the fairways game, but typically he's pretty accurate, as you see, ranked 18th in good drives. You got to remember, fairways gained, if you hit the first cut of rough, it does not count as a fairway gained, but on good drives it does, so he ranks 18th. So there's a little bit of change in there. JT, I think he's not going to be too highly owned. So if you're looking for kind of unique, he went to that aim point not too long ago. Says he does feel a little more confident with the putter. But you can see it still has not really showed up. I think he mentioned he used it at Wells Fargo and it helped there. So that was a little bit of confidence that it was going to kind of cross over to the PGA, but that did not happen. So if you look over the past, 6 rounds, he's only gained with the putter once, and that was only a stroke and a half. Let's go take while I am here. A little quick look at the Memorial. It's had some good showings. Not so good actually been 2 years ago. So kind of the last 3 years for JT and the price tag you'd pay, not the greatest. But 2018, 17, so almost if you look at a little bit when they made the changes, but again, I don't think it was that significant. It's kind of funny. Typically what he does very well is around the green. But wow, look at that. You lost 8 strokes with the putter, and that's honestly what I'm concerned about. So out on him, Sungjae Im, of course, for me, just purely this course should fit him perfect. You can see it's a ton of fairways. We know I call him like a robot. I mean, literally, he's like that swing machine that you put out there. The guy hits like every fairway. Usually with his irons, he's deadly. But you can see that has fallen off pretty significantly. Let's go dive into that a little deeper. Bermuda is typically where he does his damage with the putter. Yeah, so over the last 2 rounds, he's lost 5 strokes, 3 strokes with the irons. Had a little bit of bout of this also at the Arnold Palmer, the Honda, so the Florida swing, even the irons were not really firing. So, again, just not what I'm going to go with. But, if he, again, does what we know he typically does, this course should set up fine for him and, have no issues. Fitzy. I thought about Fitzy, but back to the irons. So let's go take a look at this here. So, yeah, he was really having a fit. Even if starting off the year, his irons just went south. And then he had this, of course, at the RBC, it was like, kind of was out of nowhere, which can happen with these guys. He gained 6 strokes with the irons. It was unreal. And then the Wells Fargo kind of came back in the PGA, even though it says he gained a stroke. Also, he wasn't putting there, and that's on bent. I don't know. Like I said, when it's tough conditions, Fitzpatrick is one of the better players. So I'm kind of in between. I have no problem if you play him, but in my player pool, and again, depending on how many lineups I put in, average, I put somewhere between 10 and 20. Yeah, I'm probably going to pass on Fitzy. I'm out on Jordan still. Of course, he's missed a couple cuts. The wrist, I still just don't trust it. And yeah, I just haven't seen anything very recently that makes me really excited to play for Jordan now. Of course, he also, let's take a look here, has a really nice record here. He's number 1, but very solid with the 13th, 18th, 7th, 3rd. So yeah, no problems if you're playing him. Of course, what's his ownership projected just on here? Yeah, so you get a little ownership. We'll check that again when we go look at it just to confirm, because sometimes these numbers are not exactly correct. I mean, Cam Young, nobody is playing Cam Young. And I think if I remember, what was it, last year he came out and led this tournament. I think shot like a 67. But man, it's been rough. Around the green, the putter's been just terrible. And also, I don't need his distance here. I need people hitting fairways. So let's go take one quick look. We're just doing this for the guys at the top. Help you guys make, I think those are some of the harder decisions to make. But yeah, you can just see around the green and the putter, it's just been a disaster. Lost quite a bit with the Wells Fargo, even with the irons. So I understand it. I think I'm going to pass. I'm actually going to go to Hideki, who I've not really been picking or playing too much because Reddy was dealing with some injuries. But it seems like he's really kind of solidified. He's at 8,700. Of course, if you guys remember, he got DQ'd last year because I think it was on his 3-wood. He put some white out on it to I guess show where he wanted to line the ball up with or something. I mean, I was really shocked that you could get messed. So it's kind of funny if you look at his last 3: a DQ, a T62, and a miscut. But of course, Hideki, I mentioned this in the preview show. His first one was at the Memorial, and it was the first time ever playing it. Let's go take a look at that real fast. So yeah, that was his best. And then he came back and had a 5th, and then it's, a miscut, kind of Jekyll and Hyde. I don't know. I kind of feeling Hideki, and he's got a good around the green game. He's everything I want. Of course, the putter is, going to be the factor. And just he does, I think he gains the most on bent. I might be wrong. Well, okay, it's one of his, at least, funny enough, when he's in Texas, he gains a stroke every time he's there. So I'm shocked that doesn't show up better. But of course, the bent greens, what did he do? So he lost, oh boy, he lost 5.7 on the greens at Oak Hill, which were bent. But the AT&T Byron Nelson, I think those are also bent, which is kind of rare, right, for Texas. Usually you think Bermuda, but I don't know. Like I said, that's kind of where I'm leaning. Bernsey, I don't know, man. He's just been kind of up and down and all over. I mean, it's kind of funny. That T6 doesn't even feel like, he must have had a pretty good weekend. I forgot now because I feel like he kind of struggled for him. But he's just been, it's been a bit, and has not had a good history here. So now I'm out on Burns, which is hard. You guys know I'm a huge Burnsy fan. I've been off on Ricky, and it worked out well for the PGA Championship. He had a good showing at the Schwab, and I told you the PGA Championship was not a ball striking problem; it was a putting problem. You see that right here. But off the tees, kind of But I mean, the guy's in good form. I mean, I like I said, you can see he's had a lot of good finishes. I mean, what this is showing, when you see this kind of trend, typically it shows that the guy is getting ready to win. I've always said that when you see a bunch of these teens, a guy's getting ready to win. So you can make a huge argument. Oh, and I'm supposed to have this clicked. So I'm actually going to go with Sahith. You can see that the one issue is the driver. Of course, he had a good showing here last year at T5, T32 the year before that. You see everything here is firing. I told you I bet him. I think it was at 50 to 1. Let's go take a look at his off the tee stuff here. Pretty good putter, showing Poa as his best. So yeah, it's kind of been the driver a little wayward. So you can make a strong argument that honestly, from a stroke game perspective, Ricky Fowler is the better play. But this is, I tell you guys, sometimes I just get the spidey senses tingling, and I don't know, I just feel Sahith. Let me see if I can make a better argument than that. The Memorial, we already looked at that. Let's look at the Arnold Palmer. So he had a 14th in that burned out conditions, but a miscut the year before. Of course, the waste management. Oh, the Phoenix Open is what they were calling it then. I mean, it's the WMPO. In Fantasy National, it's got like 3 different names for the waste management. So the Phoenix Open was also, of course, where he had a good chance to win. And like I said, pretty firm and fast. Just kind of was it 17? I think the ball went in that water. Tried to, it was actually a great shot. It just couldn't stop it on the green. All right, we're going to move a little bit faster. Corey Connors, right? I mean, of course, 2 wins at Valero, very dried out conditions. That's Bermuda greens, but it's a pretty long course. Of course, we know what Corey does. Typically, tee to green, just, amazing. Doesn't hit very long, but usually very accurate. When I say long, he's still hitting it 300 yards out there. And again, distance is not going to be an issue. I think the ball is going to run out. I think no matter how good you hit it in a fairway, there's a lot of bank in these fairways. It's going to be really just hard to keep it on, keep it on the fairway no matter where you hit it. But you can see everything is green light go. I'm a huge fan also of Corey. So, of course, his ownership, it could be ridiculous, I think, when it's all said and done. Wyndham, I'm going to pass right now. You can see everything we're stroking. Of course, he missed a cut at the PGA. But his fairways game, I don't know. The problem is when you've been watching someone for so long golf, when they finally do hit this kind of uptick, it's a little hard to jump sometimes on that bandwagon. And let's go see what has he done here. Of course, not a very good track record, but you could also state like a Max Homa. Maybe he's crossed that threshold. Maybe he's a different golfer now. Like I said, I'm not going to fault you for playing him. I'm just passing this time. Shane Lowry, funny enough, actually kind of just from a modeling perspective and everything makes total sense. So even though I didn't pick him, I'm going to probably sprinkle, even though I didn't pick Shane Lowry, I'm still probably going to sprinkle him in if I do like more than 10 lineups. But right now he's not making my core build just because of so much I've seen with the putter, what's been going on. It's been, let's go take a look. Let me look at him real fast for you. So he typically does hit that fade into the fairways. I mean, not that bad of results. Arnold Palmer, he did not do well at that. I was kind of referencing that I'm using. Really, it's been the putter is what I've noticed when I've watched him. Like he's just not making any putts that he used to make. Adam Scott's been in really good form. I mean, it fell back a little bit the PGA, but you can kind of see the approach. Funny enough, he was actually, which is crazy, is that usually he was one of the better iron players on tour, and the putter was terrible. Now he's got a really good putter, and his irons have been falling apart at least over the last. You can see here 10 rounds. Yeah, so it's kind of flipped now. The irons have been working a little better recently, which gave him that 8th and that 5th. But yeah, again, if I play more than 10, he'll get sprinkled in, but he's not going to be one of my core picks. I'm actually going to go to Siwoo Kim. Now, you're talking about volatile, right? But I mean, the guy he's got a good track record here. And when I think of Siwoo Kim, he hits a ton of fairways, good around the green. Like I said, he's kind of been back and forth with the shorter putter, longer putter. That's what I've noticed. I think he's better with the longer putter, but you can see it's been a pretty crappy run with the putter, except for the AT&T Byron Nelson, where he did have a chance to win. But let's go take a look here at the Memorial. Of course, he's a Pete Dye specialist, and he's won a ton of Pete Dye courses. You can make some arguments that there's some crossovers from how this course kind of sets up. Best showing was 2021. So yeah, that's just the guy that I'm going with. I'm kind of feeling the Siwoo. Funny enough, I think Tom Kim is kind of, I don't know. I think a lot of people have jumped off him. I think the pricing, I've even been off him, but something again, I really like Tom Kim here. I really like him for that 7,900. So let's think about what Tom Kim does, right? I mean, the same thing. He kind of fits. I think he's almost prototypical of Morikawa. Maybe not as good with the irons, but they both hit the fade. They both hit the irons. And when they're on with their irons, it's ridiculous. And they're both have been, which I didn't see Tom Kim in the beginning being a bad putter, but honestly, what's shaking out is some bad putting. He's actually never played this event. I want to confirm that, but that's what I'm seeing, which kind of makes sense, right? I mean, he's still seeing some courses for the first time, so that could be a bit of it. But he also showed up at the Arnold Palmer. No, it wasn't that one. I thought he had a better round. Second here. Arnold, no, that was it. I mean, he had a 34th, but I thought he had a little better. I don't know. I've told you guys typically I like to play him on easier courses, but I don't know why. Again, I'm kind of feeling the Tom Kim show. I'm going to go there. Russ Henley, I'm jumping back on it. His putter's been brutal, but again, fitting kind of the Corey Connors model, the Griot model, good ball striker, hits a ton of fairways, usually very good with the irons. Let's go take a look at him real fast, and then we're going to have to kind of move through this because I've got to get moving. Well, he's kind of like back and forth. It's gained 3 strokes at the Schwabe, lost 3 strokes, kind of been a little bit of hit and miss. Let me go see here real fast what he's done here. Best showing was a long time ago, a 6, miscut. Last time he played it in 2021. Keegan's actually been putting, and that's it. That's all I need. If Keegan can putt, I think he's perfect ball striking. So I like him. He also did well on the Arnold Palmer that I was kind of referencing. A Griot, right, just coming off that win. So you could be like, well, you just came off a win. We don't play guys when they come off a win, but I think that's a little moronic. It's not like it's his first win and he's doing a big press junket or like what Block had to do after what having a T15 at the PGA Championship. So don't have any issues there. A lot of people are talking about it, going back to Cam Davis, and maybe because I was so in on Cam Davis, invested on a showdown perspective, like every which way but loose, and just to watch him just literally melt. Also, the driver's been wayward. Of course, the putters are issues, so I'm out on him. Gary Woodley, you can make an argument for, but he just can't putt. I mean, it has been just brutal, and so if somehow he putts, but you can see he's never been a good putter, but it's been really bad of late. Let me take a look and see the last time Gary gained with the putter on bent. Well, the Wells Fargo back in 2015. That is bent greens. Trying to see if there was something. Well, the Workday, is that the concessions? No, that's Murfield. So there you go. You can make a reference that he did gain. Let me pull that up again for you so you can see it was kind of a little fast. So we pull up the Workday, which was the event prior after COVID 2020. I think that's what took the WGC Mexico. I think it was. Gained 7 strokes on these greens, but they were a lot softer. But it has happened, so that's interesting. Maybe he takes that into the tournament, and that could be so. Good reason why you could play Gary. Maybe I will sprinkle him in. See, Gary's actually kind of went a little, or Keith Mitchell, which typically is one of the better drivers on tour, seems like he's been kind of falling apart. And I noticed that watching him in that Zurich team event, that for some odd reason he wasn't really doing what he was typically doing with a driver. Still says he's gaining, but the irons have been just trash and around the green. So I'm going to pass on him. I'm going to go to Denny McCarthy. I think we've all been kind of waiting for Denny to, not saying, well, who knows? I mean, Billy Ho won this thing last year by quite a wide margin. So why not Denny McCarthy? But he has been ball striking better. I missed a cut to Charles Schwab, which I probably picked him last week too. But did have a good show at the Wells Fargo. What did he gain with the putter there? Let's go take a look at this. I felt like one time he actually gained with the irons, but not with the putter, which was shocking. Oh, that was at the Valspar. Nope. So he gained with the irons. So he didn't ball strike very well at Colonial, but everything else, well, the putter, which typically is his saving grace. Billy Horschel, I mean, hey, he won here last year. He's actually not got a bad record here. He's had some good finishes, as you see, a T13 at 9th, at first, of course. But man, it's been rough for Billy all year, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Kind of interesting. Kuchar has had a pretty solid game here, and you can see typically, of course, he leads the field out of the sand, around the green. The putter's good. He typically hits a lot of fairways. The irons have actually been a little bit of a bugaboo here. Let's go take a look at his Memorial. Couple 4s. He did win it back. I forgot the 2013, but I mean, that was a long time ago, a second. But more recently, a 45th or 32nd. I don't know. I'm not worried about the distance. I just need guys hit fairways, so if the driver's on for him. I'm kind of interested in that. Harris English, I already mentioned, I bet him. I feel pretty good about Harris. Again, for 7,500, I've always said I think he just gets knocked. You can see he's had some good finishes here. just he's not like known as, he doesn't fit in the big star. And I'm not saying he should be a big star, but I think the guy's got one of the better swings in games around, and just never gets any love. And so it's kind of like, okay, great, keep giving me 100-to-1 odds, and give me the 7,000 ish price tag. But I mean, the guy, you can see he's had a lot of good finishes, and he's just a great ball striker. And he's, I think he's completely over the hip surgery thing, so no problem there. I think Kirk's kind of interesting, but I'm going to pass. I don't have, Benoit, I think it's going to be super chalky. I'm actually going to pivot, go to Kitayama. I think a lot of people are going to be off. So now we're getting my contrarian plays. Things are going to change up again from a GPP side. Yes, a bit of this is because he won the Arnold Palmer, but of course, look what he did at the PGA Championship. Bent greens, just crazy tough conditions. I just kind of come to the fact that this guy, when it is an elevated field, a really good field, and tough conditions, for some reason this guy shines. I mean, again, of course, Arnold Palmer, the PGA, the CJ Cup, that's the who's who. That's in that event. He had a FedEx Cup event. He did well. The Genesis Scottish Open, which I don't know. I don't know that course that well, but I mean, that's where he kind of busts on the scene. Him and Rob duoed at the Mexico Open. So I don't know. That's the guy that I've actually bet, and I'm also going to put in quite a few lineups because I think that's, if it comes to fruition. You can see there's some reasons why it could not, but I'm leveraging what he's done in the past much over the ball, what I'm seeing from, recent form, and even what my stroke models tell me. So not always do I just go off stroke model, which you should never if you watch a lot of golf. All right, I got to kind of start moving through these a little faster. Let's see here. I'm out on Taylor Moore. Hoagie's just, I've tried so many times, and I don't think this is a good fit for him. Cage Lee. Let's go take a look real fast. Yeah, nothing. I'll also give you guys a look at the tournament history. Nothing too great there. Montgomery's never played here. Typically, he's got to do it all around the green and putting. But, you could make an argument that Taylor Montgomery is probably not going to hit the driver on a lot of these holes because, like I said, it's so much about accuracy. So maybe but then the argument is he's been trashed with the iron. So I tried there, but I can't. Harmon, I don't know. Could make sense, right? He had a T18 here. I mean, he does hit a lot of fairways. Typically, he's known kind of. I've always thought of him as a good around the green putter guy, but been really bad with the irons. You can see he hits a lot of fairways. So you could make an argument. I'm actually going to go to Seabez. I got to do it, right? I told you something was telling me he should have done well last week. And I said, typically when that happens, it's the next week. You can see he's ranked 8th out of the whole field in this, kind of model that I did. Round of green doesn't look that great, but I don't need the length. I just need this round of green. I need him to have a really good putting week. And I do believe, that he leads, I think, with strokes gained on bent, at least for the last year, pretty much out of all these guys. Fox, I kind of like his game, but I don't know. I can't do it. I was off him at the Charles Schwab, and he still did well. So I'm going to stick with it. I don't need his length. But the guy is a good putter. I mean, that's, I think, what saved him. Let me go take a look at this. Like, typically, this is what I think of Ryan Fox. Like, hits it, 330, but can't hit a fairway. So he's been gaining with the putter for him. I'm not saying, that he's a bad putter. I'm just saying. So, you can see he's been doing pretty well. So he's in a good, bit of form, but I don't know. Not the guy that I'm thinking about. Funny enough, you could make an argument with Seamus, but I just feel like the putter's not been where I need it. Patrick Rogers, I've been riding. I'm going to say no to that. Hauser, no. Jaeger, I'm off. Let's scroll down to see. Now, here's the funny thing. I think Adam Svensson still injured himself at the PGA on the last day. He pulled out of the Charles Schwab, where this guy does damage is on the shorter, more technical tracks. But it showed he was out of the field, at least I think in the earlies, but it's showing he's in the field now. So if he's in the field, unless we can find out something, we look on Twitter for injury tracker guy and see if he's got anything. But I'll play him if he's, if I don't see that he was injured, I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot because the guy hits a ton of fairways, good with the irons. The putter's been working lately, and I'm just shocked that he did not. What's he done here? He's at a one-time T45 that he did not play the Charles Schwab if he wasn't injured, or maybe at a wedding or something. I don't know. Okay, moving along. Spawn, you can make an argument for. It's a ton of fairways typically, but it hasn't been doing all these things. I've been doing as well since his It's kind of fallen off since I went at the Valero pretty much. Adam Schenk, I'm actually going to give another shot to. He also showed up at that Arnold Palmer when it was super tough conditions. Let's go take a look at this. Thought he did better than that, but he came up 31st. I mean, it's for that price tag, it's not bad. Probably you're hearing a reservation in my voice now, but 6,800, give me to the weekend, and I'm happy. So I'm gonna stick with him. Good form. We'll see. I mean, you can see miscut, and then it almost comes out and wins. It's a little bit kind of what I've noticed with a Shank. No on all these guys. Will Gordon I like a lot, but man, you can see his round of green and putter is so bad. Kevin Streelman, I think he's going to be chalky for that price tag. Had some decent form, some good recent history. I'm actually going to go back to the Todd man. Again, fits the mold. And of course, I was at the Schwab. He didn't do what I was hoping, but of course, you can see, guys that plot around can get around this course. So let's hope that Todd actually a little better with the irons and with the putter. I'm going to ride this Austin Eckrow kind of for 6,600. This is just purely a recent form play. I'll just leave it at that. Sepp Straka, of course, won the Honda, which is, Jack's course there, the Bear. And he, in my mind, I feel like he typically does play in tough events. Let's go see this real quick. Of course, he won the Honda, Sanderson Farms tough tracks. It's funny enough, I know the shorter tracks, but those are kind of the plotters. Stonewall at a PGA, the Tour. I'm kind of a little bit interested in Sepp Straka. So Mackenzie Hughes, I feel like last year came out here and kind of went in fuego. Then must have fell apart. I'm not going to go through and find out, but I remember maybe it's 2020 I'm thinking about. I could be wrong. We had I don't know if he was first round leader one of those days. Could be interesting. Mark Hubbard's been in good form. I'm thinking about playing a little bit of him. Again, thinking of guys that are going to get in the fairway, good irons. It seems like though when I play Hubbard, I swear maybe I picked him as a cheap play at the PGA and he just burnt me. Let's go take a look at this real fast. It was the putter, which is kind of rare. You see he's gained with the putter every time, except literally I know I picked him for the PGA. So, and those are bank, so you make an argument, but so is the Schwab. I don't know. He's a better putter than that. So I'm going to go with some Hubbard down here. I'm going to go with Akshay at 6,500. Again, a lot of upside. You see it, some good finishes. And maybe, I don't know, maybe he's like Victor. He can only win or compete on the island courses, but I think he's got a ton of talent. I'm going to stick with him. You can make an argument. Aaron Riley got in the field. I forgot who pulled out to get him in, but he's a safe play. Not really, honestly. I mean, you can make an argument, except for the putter, that he's a Brendan Todd for cheaper. I mean, the guy hits a ton of fairways, pretty good with the irons, but the difference between Todd is the putter. But right, he had his best chance that I remember. Good showing at the Charles Schwab. Right when he showed up at Torrey Pines. I believe that had to be the Farmers. I don't think that was the U.S. Open. Yeah, the Farmers. One of the better rounds of golf. The Houston Open. Schwabe up there is one of his best rounds. Showed up at the Players. I don't know. I might sprinkle some Aaron Rye if I go over 10 lineups. I'll put it that way to you. All right, going to scroll down again. I've taken a little more time on here than I was expecting. Lucas Glover, I told you guys I'm betting him. I think he's a good cheap. If you need a couple 6,200 guys, these are my guys. The Lechez Reeve has been performing pretty well. He's really good from the long iron distance. He's actually been gaining with the putter like over and over. I think he's gained like the last five events he's played, which is wait a minute, he's gained more than that. It's 6, 7 events. Which, if you know Ches Reeve, so he's found something with the putter. He's typically not a good putter. Of course, off the tee, right, he doesn't have distance, but he's typically very accurate. Let me see. Yeah, almost 70%. So, I don't know. I think he's a good play, and Lucas is right there, too. Just really good ball striker, and last win was a John Deere on bent greens. You can see the putter has been horrific. Whoa. But it's, kind of what he does typically is really good ball striker, and then he can't make a 3-footer. When's the last time he's had a really good putting round? St. Jude, which that's Bermuda. Boy, it is rare. Charles Schwab, Honda. So he had a little run here. The U.S. Open. Where's this John Deere one at? Was that 20? I thought it was at 2021. Yeah, 2021. He gained 3 strokes on the bent. Way back when he gained 10 strokes at Wells Fargo on bent greens. But anyways, yeah, I think it'll get you to the weekend. Hopefully he just doesn't lose that many strokes. So you got to remember easy greens to make. supposedly from 10 feet, some of the easier greens on tour. And I think that's it. Yeah. So my two cheapy plays would be Reeve Glover, playing Akshay down at the 6. Well, let me just go summarize this for you real fast. All right, I click that. All right, here we go. So I told you I'm going to go with Scotty Scheffler, Patrick Cantlay, and Xander in the top for the 10s and 11s. That's my top 3 guys. Now, again, you can't, of course, play all those guys together, but you could plug in one, or maybe you could, build some kind of lineup with Xander and Cantlay. My next guy, and maybe probably a little lesser, is Victor Hovland. The more I've thought about it, to be honest, that will get rid of a little higher salary. But Terrell Hatton, Hideki Matsuyama, Sahith Theegala, Corey Connor, Siwoo Kim, Tom Kim, which has been a little new. I haven't been picking him very rare, but I think something could be there. Russ Henley, Keegan Bradley, Emiliano Grillo coming off his win, Danny McCarthy, Matty Kuchar, Harris English, Kitayama with my Arnold Palmer correlation. Seabez, Fenson, if I don't find out he's got any injuries, again, check that out because I won't have time. If I do see some, I guess I could tweet it out. Adam Schenk, Brendan Todd, Austin Eckroat, Mark Hubbard, Akshay Bhatia, Glover, Reeve. And you can see my cheapies start at, hold on, I guess I got quite a few. Svensson, Schenk, Todd, Eckroat, Hubbard, Bhatia, Glover, Reeve for my cheapies. If you're asking, feel free on YouTube. If you want me to pick between a couple of those for you, let me know. But I think they're all solid plays. But depending on the lineup you're putting together, let me know and I'll give you my opinion. Okay, let's real quickly go look at ownership projections. So right now, let's make it newer. Let's just update it before we do it. Okay, we got 100 more lineups. So all right, so of course the top 2 most chalky. Looks like Rahm is going to lead it. Is at 26%. Scheffler at 24. If you're looking to be a little contrarian, the change-up play is Rory, which, again, I'll put some lineups in. If it stays, I'll keep an eye on that. But if it stays at, heck, the guy is elite. At any time, he could just be like, you know what? I'm going to go win this tournament. I feel great. Putter's, making everything. Watch out. And the irons also, they were a little shaky from that 100-yard area. Cantlay, super chalk. Xander. So that's like those 4 years super chalky that I see right now. Morikawa is also, so if you built a Rory Morikawa. It's funny, remember last week I told you guys, and I did build some lineups this way, but I did not do enough. I said, hey, play Homa and Burns. They were both less than 10%. Who actually played well last week? Homa and Burns. So you would actually have been way better off than taking all the chalk. But it is what it is. So that's, right now it looks like it would be Rory Morikawa would be your change-ups. Jason Day is not getting a lot of love. Sungjae Im is also not getting a love. T-Hat is pretty chalky. A lot of stroke model plays, Hideki. So we're just looking at the guys that I picked. Some change-up. Who's a change-up? Cam Young. So there you go. You throw together a Rory. Put together a Rory Morikawa, Cam Young, and those guys all decide to have one of their better weekends. Watch out. Burnsies at 4%, no love. He just had a 6th place at the Charles Schwab. On Ben Greens. So, yeah, I will put some lineups together with this ownership that I'm seeing right now. Let's go see where some of my other picks. Siwoo Kim's a little chalky. Tom Kim, less than 10%. Henley's at 10. Bradley. Nobody wants to Grillo. That's funny. I'll go back to that. I don't have any problems with that. I told you Gary Woodland has gained quite a bit of strokes on these greens a while back. But they are going to be crazy fast lightning. It's going to be interesting how this tournament plays. I thought more people would jump back on Cam Davis, but I guess not. I'm also out on that. Killer Keith's getting no love. Denny McCarthy, Billy Ho, the past champion, no love. So my Kuchar, English, and Kitayama, all pretty good contrarian plays, all less than 6%. You can plug those in. I'm just looking at some of these. Benoit is almost 11%. That could be definitely someone slamming a trunk. I could see because it just happens with Benoit. The putter can just go super south. Seabaz is quite a bit chalky that I was picking. Taylor Montgomery, nobody wants any of that. They kind of see the same thing. Just seeing where some Svenson's at 7%. Again, you can just watch. Eric Cole, I get it. But he's actually has not been doing too great off the tee, but he does hit a lot of fairways. I don't have an issue with it. What did he do? Let's go take a look at Eric Cole because I picked him for the Schwab, and I feel like the guy freaking missed the cut, didn't he? Yeah. Now, if any course should fit that guy, it should be. Oh, I thought he was more accurate than that. Okay, no, I'm punting at Eric Cole. He only hits the fairway 50% of the time, and he's not long. So that's a double negative does not equal a positive. Brendan Todd is less than 4%. Eckroat, wow. You want some chalky Eckroat? I don't know about that. I might find different ways. Batia's at 5. Hubbard's at 8.7, almost 9. Chev Reeves at 6, and I've been picking him for the last few weeks. But I think there was another show that mentioned him and probably got that ownership up because. So that's interesting. Now I got to make a decision because I don't know if I want to play 6,200 Ches Reeve. I'll pivot and go with Glover because I don't think anybody's jumped on that little train. And there's nobody else. I was actually looking at Lingermuth. There's actually one here, and he does a lot of things. Let's go take a look at him just to confuse us and give us one more thought. So you can see, man, super accurate, not very long, but very accurate. Kind of fits the Brendan Todd mold. And what is he? Funny enough, he has been struggling there. He had this nice little run here back kind of early season. I always pictured him a better putter. I guess the putter has not been, but let's go see this real quick. What he's done at the Memorial. I know it was a while ago. Yeah, 2015 he won here. Not the greatest form here recently. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you to play that. I was just seeing if I come up with some other ideas for you. All right, that's it. You got a little bit of ownership projection, and then from a weather perspective, I told you, I don't think there's anything to worry about. It's just going to be super hot. The course is going to be super firm, fast. I don't know. I'm predicting less. I don't know. Single digits for sure is where this is probably going to fall out. But you want to pull up Ohio State University, the closest spot to the course, and I don't need to go to the weather because I already did it. So that I just wanted to kind of call out Ohio State University Airport. Just keep it on it. Maybe a storm comes in. Maybe the wind picks up. It is weather. But with that said, that's it. Let's go wrap this thing up. All right. So I greatly appreciate your time. As always, don't forget I have that giveaway. So I need you to be a subscriber and tell me down in the YouTube comments, who do you think is going to win the US Open? And as always, click that like button, share with anybody else, and follow me on Twitter if you want any updates as in withdrawals or any funny anecdotes. That's where you can find me. And hey, good luck to us. We're coming off one of the first betting victories, it seems like, this season. I didn't have a lot out there. Like I said, I did put a little on Cantlay because I got an incentive. So I think I got them at 12.5, something like that, 12.5. So I did put some money on Cantlay. So I guess for my top dog. And I don't know, I might throw one more bet in there, but probably a light betting. I don't know, these elevated events. I might actually bet Kitayama like top 10. And I actually have a lot more top 10s than I usually do. So I don't know. Like I said, right now I'm predicting Cantlay Shuffler to be your winner, which is kind of boring, but that's typically how some of these events play. All right, enjoy the tournament. Good luck to all of us, and I will talk to you guys next Monday, where I have totally forgot what the tournament's going to be. U.S. Open's in 2 weeks, so I forgot what's in between, to be honest. But hey, I'll talk to you guys next Monday. Take care.